Let's roll, baby. Welcome in the East Coast Bias Boys here on YouTube via the Ringer Gambling Show. It's East Coast Bias reincarnated. Raheem Palmer in Vegas, John Jastremski in New York, and we welcome back after his excursion, Joe House. Boys, award season. House, Raheem, House, how fired up are you? Hopefully you have a couple winners for me, baby.
I had to get back here in Washington, D.C. to sit in this seat and represent for this man. I heard a lot of slander this week
Mm.
on the Ringer Gambling channel. A lot of haters, a lot of naysayers out there. I'm glad to be back home. There are awards to be given out, and we are here to break it all down for everybody. But I'm about to give this man and this team the respect they deserve. That's my first award of the day, JJ.
I know you're going to defend your guy. Raheem, in general, do you like betting these awards or no? I feel like we go through it throughout the course of the year when we try to find value in certain opportunities. Lamar Jackson 2 years ago, I think, is the perfect example, kind of coming out of nowhere, winning that game on Christmas Day and kind of sniping the MVP away from Brock Purdy. But where do you kind of stand as far as betting these awards?
Well, last year we did give you guys the future on the Philadelphia Eagles, and I think that worked out pretty well.
Well, I mean, no, 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 no.
Oh,
I'm
well, let me
talking
finish. Let me finish.
players.
We
Okay.
also gave you guys Josh Allen to win MVP. So I think we've done pretty well. I'm not the biggest fan of betting these awards, but we do try to find some value and hopefully put some cash in your pocket.
And Raheem all over it. Yes, we did find ourselves getting an Eagle ticket, which was advantageous. And then, Josh Allen, literally from that game he had against the Chiefs in mid November, you knew right then and there he was winning the MVP. Okay. If you follow us on our page, Ringer Gambling Show, East Coast Bias, we broke down every division. We gave you every future imaginable, every over under, division picks, all that good stuff. We started doing these pods mid to late July. We did it for about a 4 week stretch. AFC East, NFC East, AFC North, NFC North, on and on we go. So, what I wanted the boys to do, gave them a little homework assignment. I said, we have all of these futures that we put together. I want you to find for me the one that you feel the best about. Maybe it's two, maybe it's three, I don't know. But then I also want you to dissect the one that you're saying, oh boy, I'm getting a little cold feet on this. I don't know if I feel so great about this particular bet. Made it a couple weeks ago. A lot has changed. I just don't feel as good. So we'll start with the positive, then we'll work our way towards the negative before we dive into all these awards. Joe House, let's start with you. Out of all of the futures we have put together in our 3 or 4 weeks of doing all of these previews, now that the dust is kind of settled, which one do we like the best?
Yeah, I have a couple, but I want to start with this reminder to everybody. We will put out on all of the feeds all of these picks in all of these divisions because we had best bets for every division. The three of us will have it all out. Plenty of time for everybody to get down on it. As your boy Michael Fiddle likes to say, dream. Let's get everybody a chance to go through that well in advance of the season kicking off. But yes, I still have a lot of faith and confidence in my Baltimore Ravens over 11 and a half wins. The price is only minus 120. I still love the price. As I continued over the course of, these several weeks to do my deeper dives into some of these teams, the situation for Baltimore is looking better and better to me. The two things that held them back the most was special teams. Their special teams went off a cliff, and a lot of that had to do with Justin Tucker's foot. But they also were not good punting. They were a bottom five special teams unit last year after being consistently in the top 10 year after year after year. I like this kid they got at kicker, Tyler Loop, a big foot on that young man. And I think that is a point of emphasis for this Ravens team. So the Ravens over 11 and a half. Close second. I like what the Titans are doing very quietly.
Ooh, look at you getting on the Titan bandwagon. Okay.
The cousin Sal and Bill Simmons did their annual over under pod. It's a great tour de force as always. And cousin Sal made the observation. He's like, driving around. How do you get to 6 wins with the Titans? It's not easy looking at the schedule, but I still think that's a good wager out there. I feel confident. I love that offensive line, and everything we see out of Cam Ward is outstanding. minus 140. So the market believes in this Titans team over 5.5 wins. So I like to be on the same side as the market.
So
Okay.
like I said this other day, and I gotta say it again. I like the Titans over 5.5 wins, but I just think this is one that you guys need to wait on. They're road underdogs against Denver in week 1, 7.5 point underdogs. And then they're they're home underdogs again against the Rams at 5.5. So I think if you wait past those first 2 games, I think you find some value on an adjusted win total. So I mean, that's the way I'm going to play it. But I mean, if they go out there and beat Denver on the road or beat the Rams at home, that kills my idea. But I just think they probably start out 0-2, and then I mean, you guys know rookie quarterbacks, they never start off well. Look at Jayden Daniels last year. So I think you get the same thing this year, and I think you could be able to jump on the Titans, after week 2.
So I get the case, House. I get the case. I just don't love the coaching staff. That to
I'm
me
with
is a
you.
major, major
I'm
problem.
with
They
you. I
looked
understand.
so inept and so incompetent last year that I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those instances where we watch Cam Ward get better over the course of the year. We're like, wow, Tennessee really has something to work with here. But my goodness, they got to blow up their coaching staff because it's just not any good. That's my fear factor.
Totally reasonable fear. That's why it wasn't my number one most confident bet. My number one is the Ravens over 11.5.
Okay. Now, Raheem, all these bets, all these futures. I think you're going to give me one that I really like because we've talked a lot about certain teams, and I just have a vibe. I just have a feeling. Now that the dust is settled, same question. What's the one that we're most confident in?
We're gonna go with the Indianapolis Colts under 7.5 wins. I mean, look, this is all based on quarterback play. They chose Daniel Jones as their as their savior. 24th in EPA per play plus completion over expectation, 19th in success rate, 46%. He's not a good quarterback. And then if they want to go to Anthony Richardson, who I told y'all the other day, he needs to go get his CDL because he's not a quarterback. He was 32nd in EPA per play plus completion over expectation, 31st in success rate, and you're talking about a guy who had a worse completion percentage than Zach Wilson. This guy is not good at all. So any quarterback they choose, it's not a good option. And I just think this team should be around 5 or 6 wins. I don't see them getting to 8 wins at all. So let's go under Indianapolis Colts 7.5.
Listen, absolutely love Indianapolis. Both quarterbacks stink. I don't care what the rest of the roster looks like. That team has 6-11 or 5-12 written all over them. So I'm right there with you, Raheem. The two that I am still salivating over, and I don't know if I can get Joe House on board with this one. And the feeling I get is because Simmons was betrayed by Aaron Rodgers and the Jets last year. He does not want to get back into bed with Aaron Rodgers. Well, I was out on the Jets last year. I am in on Pittsburgh this season. First of all, they won double-digit games with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields and having no feel and no flow for their quarterback. I think they're getting an upgrade if they get the Aaron Rodgers we saw in the second half of last season. I do. I thought he played well over the final 6 or 7 games. It's a super well-coached team. You know that with the Pittsburgh Steelers week in and week out. I have 8.5. I could not be more confident. Aaron Rodgers and Mike Tomlin are not going and ending this streak of winning seasons. I'm not a believer in it. Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing in the postseason. And I think the Steelers are going to be frisky moving their way up. I'm not saying they're as good as Kansas City, Buffalo, and Baltimore because they're not. But I think they are closer to working their way there than they are to bottoming out. So I love 8.5. That's a bet I wish I could put more on because I feel that great about it. The other one, House, and I know you're not going to like this one because you're in on the Atlanta Falcons. I love Tampa to win this division. Absolutely, positively love Tampa to win this division. I don't care if they have another offensive coordinator. It was no problem for Baker Mayfield last year. There's a lot of continuity on this football team, not a whole lot of changes. They have weapons. Evans, Godwin coming back, Ibuka, who everybody loves. He's everybody's sleeper in fantasy football. The line is good. The defense is well coached. House, Steelers over, Bucks to win a division. Those are my two favorites.
Yeah, so the Steelers over. I'm not doing anything with the Steelers. I don't have an argument to the contrary. I just want to see them a little bit. I want to see that Pittsburgh Steelers offense because it feels a little weird to me right now. I need to see the actual, schemes and stuff. I want to see Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers on the same page a little bit. The skill positions changed in a way that there's uncertainty there. But JJ, like who's gonna get in your way and say, that this is crazy? All you did was pick on the side of history, pick on the side of continued coaching brilliance. Nobody can get out a computer and an algorithm and say this is the way that it's going to go for Pittsburgh because all they do is defy the odds every single season and get to a positive win situation. So I don't have any issue with your Steelers position. I'm just not going to do it because I want to see it a little bit out of the offense. With Tampa, and I'll have an opportunity to talk about this a little bit further when we get to a bet that I might regret. I really like your points. I like your observations about the continuity there. They've been a little bit under the radar. I think their defense, the thing that they have to improve, the ball got thrown all over their secondary. So that's the thing, man. We got to see that secondary step up a little bit, but I think they're poised very well to be a contender in the NFC once again.
Yeah, I'm with House on Pittsburgh. There's nothing I can do with Pittsburgh. You're talking about a team who they were 6-4 in one scored games last year, and it's been 12 straight seasons where they've overperformed their Pythagorean expectation. 12 straight seasons where they've had a winning record in one scored games. That defies every single thing that we know about the NFL. And the one thing we know about old quarterbacks is that they fall off a cliff. And Aaron Rodgers hasn't been the same quarterback the last couple of years. I don't know how much better he is than Russell Wilson at this point in time. I mean, you could say he's an upgrade, but it's possible he could be on his same level or even be a downgrade. So I don't know what to do with this. This is just one of those teams that I just never want to bet a win total. And if I could pick out those rah-rah Mike Tomlin spots in season, I'll do that. But I'm not touching their win total. And JJ, me and you have always agreed on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this offseason. I think Baker Mayfield is a top 10 quarterback, and he's not being treated as such. And I think we need to put some respect on his name. We know that offense is going to be good, and I like them to win the division. I mean, we gave that out on our show, and I'm going to stick with that.
Like the sound of that. Okay, fellas, I'm going to give you an opportunity. We've given all these bets, right? I'm going to let you add one, but I'm also going to give you a mulligan to take one back. So I'm giving you one, and then you could subtract the other. Let's start with the one we're going to add. House, if you could add one more future, and I know you can add more between now and week one, but I'm giving you the opportunity right here, right now. You can add one to the ledger. What's the one
So
you're adding?
I already tipped my hand, and the two bets that I'm going to talk about are correlated, and we just talked about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what I am going to do is add some Buccaneers to my portfolio because I do think that everything that you guys have said about the way they're positioned and the fact that they are the class of that NFC South. And when you sit down and do one of the things as a starting point exercise, head coach and quarterback, they have the best head coach and quarterback. So I regret a bet that I made. I probably a little bit over indexed on the Atlanta Falcons to win this division because I have the Atlanta Falcons making a sizable improvement on defense, especially at the pass rush, and it's a completely unknown quantity. And Atlanta experienced a bunch of injuries on their offensive line over the course of this camp leading into the season. And I don't like a guy that Michael Penix is not a rookie, but he's not a full-time, he has however many games under his belt. We're still very early in the Michael Penix experiment, and I don't like rotating cast on offensive line, even with all the weapons that Atlanta has. So I'm putting a little Tampa Bay to win the division in my portfolio, and I'm going to try and offset some of my Atlanta exposure.
Ooh, okay. So coming to the dark side. Proud of you for that, House. Getting on board maybe with Tampa Bay. Okay, Raheem. You can add one, you can subtract one. What are we thinking?
first things first, I'm gonna say I don't want to mulligan on anything. I'm confident on.
Wow. All right. So House, you wouldn't want to play golf with me then, you know? You wouldn't want to play golf. I'll keep that in mind when Raheem takes up golf. No breakfast balls for Raheem on the
Yeah,
first tee.
yeah, I'm letting it all ride. If I need to hedge in season, that's another thing. But right now, we letting it ride. The one play I'm going to add is the Minnesota Vikings under 9.5 wins minus 135. This is basically a prove it to me wager. You look at the Minnesota Vikings last year, 9-1 in one score games. In addition, they were first in takeaways at 33, tied with the Buffalo Bills. And they had a plus 12 turnover differential. Now, if you get some turnover regression, which is very possible when you're first in takeaways and you have a rookie quarterback in there, we know rookie quarterbacks make some mistakes. That turnover differential is not going to be the same, and they're not going to have as many takeaways. In addition, I don't expect them to go 9-1 in one score games. So you combine all three of those things, I'm asking for you to prove it to me. If you win 10 games with a rookie quarterback and you're able to defy the odds of those, takeaways, so be it. But give me the under 9.5 minus 135.
Fascinating. And listen, it's all about JJ McCarthy and what he's going to be able to bring to the table and whether or not he can keep that offense going. And remember, Jordan Addison going to miss those first couple of weeks with a suspension. Now, boys, we've talked about San Francisco a ton. I bet they're over for wins. I think we got to add to the portfolio. This is a team that was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I know there's a lot of transformation on their defense as far as personnel is concerned. There's still a lot of talent. You still have Bosa. You still have Fred Warner. They get Robert Saleh back as defensive coordinator. Forget about Robert Saleh, the head coach that stunk with the Jets. Robert Saleh, the guy who was fist pumping, yelling and screaming, basically got himself the Jet job, is back coaching up a defense. And for what it's worth, you saw what the Jet defense looked like when he left the building last year. It took a major step backwards. I think Robert Saleh is going to help that defense out a ton. And San Francisco had a year from hell. They were snake bit. Everything went wrong for them as far as injuries, McCaffrey, losing close games. This schedule is so advantageous. They're getting themselves in the playoffs. I want to have a ticket on the Niners to go and win the NFC. Because to me, they are just poised for bounce back, bounce back, bounce back. I trust the coaching. They have the weapons, even with the loss of Adebo Samuel. Not keeping me up at night. Even with some of the injuries at wide receiver, I think they'll survive that. They have enough as far as mixing and matching, swapping, doing what needs to be done. I want to add San Francisco into my NFC ticket for portfolio to go and win it. I wish I had a mulligan, boys, and we talked about this quite a bit. House, that Cincinnati bet I made the night of the Super Bowl to go and win the Super Bowl, I don't care if Joe Burrow's their quarterback. I don't care if Trey Hendrickson's back. They have one player on defense. That defense couldn't stop the three of us. That is not a championship caliber team. I donated some money there. So you're welcome, FanDuel.
No issue with that. You didn't do anything wrong. That's why it was a super look off into the future. You got the best odds you could get on it. And you just kiss that ticket goodbye because I agree with you. They're not in the Super Bowl.
Are you in on San Francisco this year, House?
I am. The receiver room concerns me a little bit. I want to see Juwan Jennings be like the full version of Juwan Jennings. That's the key to me to that offense. He and Kittle together. Give Brock Purdy, like it's really set up with Kyle Shanahan to for that offense to work to those guys. Now CMC, it's been very quiet, but that's a good thing. It's not, we're not hearing about injuries with Christian McCaffrey. And that to me is like quite a bit of it. I agree with you on defense. The defense is a work in progress. I'm not, I like the guy they drafted, and we'll talk about Mykal Williams on the other side of Bosa. I think that sets up pretty nice in terms of a pass rush, but it's a little bit of an unknown quantity. But at plus 155 or whatever the price is for San Francisco, with the easiest schedule in the entire NFL, we don't want to get too crazy with schedule talk, but it just sets up very well for a bounce back season for them.
And Raheem, what have you hit on with San Francisco? They don't lose in the wild card round, right, buddy boy?
Yeah,
if they're going to have a good year, they're probably going deep into January at the very least.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, since 1998, You're talking about a team who's either missed the playoffs entirely or going to the NFC Championship.
Well, I want to have that taken in my portfolio. We're going to take a quick break for our pod. Live stream, don't go anywhere because it's award season. All right, guys, let's go award by award. We got MVP, we got Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year. Uh, they threw Comeback Player in the Year. I didn't even know we were doing that, but that's fine. We can have a little fun with
I
that.
put that in the notes.
All right, you wanted to throw that in there? So be it. Okay, so that's fine. You wanted to add it. All right, listen, MVP, the dirty little secret is out. It's a quarterback award. They literally should rename the MVP the quarterback of the year. They really should, because if it's Derrick Henry, if it's Saquon Barkley, if it's Tyreek Hill, if it's Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, these guys can't win the award. It goes to a quarterback again and again and again. Therefore, my advice to everybody who is listening and to everybody who is watching, don't waste your money betting someone who is not a quarterback because they're not going to win the award. Raheem, I'll start with you on this. There's the three big boys, and then there's the value plays. So to me, you almost have to give out one of the big boys, and then you got to find a value play. That's why I asked for 2 MVP bets. I wanted you guys to at least, dive into, okay, favorite, long shot. Let's start with the favorite.
Well, I think you got to go with Lamar Jackson. I mean, the price isn't amazing, but at plus 430, to me, he's on the best team in the league. And the old adage, best player, best team, it's very possible here because, I mean, when you look at the history of MVPs, these teams tend to win 11 games or more, and they tend to be the first or second seed in their conference. And I think the Baltimore Ravens, they have the best team in the league. So I think that makes Lamar Jackson the rightful favorite, which he is. I think you probably need to have him in your portfolio. And then in week 1, they're taking on a Buffalo Bills team and they're taking on Josh Allen. You win that game, you're already at the forefront. And, just to give you guys a little preview of week 1, the Buffalo Bills secondary is bombed out and depleted.
I mean, they signed Jordan Poyer, who looked like a corpse for my team a year ago, might I add, and now is back on the Buffalo Bills. Just throwing that out there, Raheem.
In the opening game of the year, Lamar Jackson has an opportunity to have a big day against Josh Allen. So right away, you got to have Lamar Jackson in your portfolio. Now, as a long shot, I like Jordan Love. You're talking about a guy who last year, he was top 10 in EPA per play, and he was banged up almost the entire year. Tore his MCL in week 1. Comes back, gets a groin injury. End of the year, gets an injury to his elbow. Like, he was just never right the entire year, and they still won 11 games, and he was still top 10 in EPA per play. And the receivers really didn't play up to their potential. Now you bring in a guy like Matthew Golden to, play with Romeo Doubs. I just think they're in a position to where Jordan Love can make the leap. So Jordan Love at 20-1, give me some of that. So Lamar Jackson plus 430 and Jordan Love 20-1.
Okay, House. Jordan Love, long shot. Jackson, favorite. I'm going to weigh in on this from the favorite perspective. I'm seeing plus 650 for Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? Down year a season ago. Now everyone writing the narratives. Oh, the best quarterback in the league is Josh Allen. Oh, no. The best quarterback in the league is Lamar Jackson. And I know from a running perspective, House, you're not going to have Mahomes put up the rushing yards that either Allen or Jackson is going to be able to put up on a weekly basis. Fine. But you know what you are going to see? The Kansas City Chiefs in every prime time spot imaginable. They are here. They are there. They are everywhere. And if we have Patrick Mahomes with an improved offensive line, and now, even though he's not going to have Rice for the first 6 weeks, but they could throw that as a narrative. Oh, you don't have your guy. The chemistry builds with somebody like Worthy. You still have Travis Kelce, who's got the engagement buzz and maybe is playing his last year and has a little bit more gas left in the tank. I have no problem saying, hey, Patrick Mahomes, you're going to beat Buffalo, you're going to beat Baltimore, and your stats are close. you can develop, hey, I'm Patrick Mahomes again. I'm going to win the MVP. I'm okay with taking him as a favorite. I don't know about you, but sign me up right now.
Well, the funny thing is, I have some action on both of the guys you guys have mentioned. And on top of that, I also completely agree with Dream's assessment of Lamar Jackson. The reason that I prefer Patrick Mahomes over Lamar Jackson is that I think that the Baltimore Ravens might be a truck this season. They might come out and beat the hell out of everybody. And reminder, look at this, especially the first 5 games of the season. The Baltimore Ravens to win first halves, the Baltimore Ravens come out and beat teams against the spread and on the money line in the first half. So to me, the reason that I'm not betting Lamar Jackson MVP is because I think that translates into a big Derrick Henry season. And I have some exposure to Derrick Henry on this thesis. Um, I love Patrick Mahomes at this price. I think, we're going to go through this roller coaster ride of a narrative with him. It's funny that you look back at that 15-2 that the Chiefs put up, and, Mahomes was really nowhere in terms of the MVP competition, but it's because of how good that defense was for the Chiefs and the crazy way that the Chiefs won their games. You would look at it and say, wow, that had to have been an incredible Mahomes season. It wasn't. I do think this season we're teed up for it. I think that your observation with Mahomes in terms of that offensive line, and they're going to establish the run a little bit, which creates the opportunity to get into some play action that they didn't really run a ton of last year, I don't think. And that means that Mahomes can get vertical again. Xavier Worthy was a revelation. Hollywood Brown, they need him healthy all season. That's the important part for him. They'll get Rashee Rice back. So whatever happens over the first 6 weeks, this is a narrative award. It's the end of the season. Do we see Superman stuff out of Mahomes at the end of the season? I say yes, and I think the Chiefs are well positioned to hit this man the MVP one more time.
Well,
So
we
I,
love
I do
that.
like the Mahomes play. The thing for me was I actually wanted to wait in season
You
and
think
try.
you'll get a better
Makes
number
sense.
than plus 650?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a team last year, 15-2. Obviously, they were, like they won like 13 one-score games or whatever. How many it was? It just was, I mean, they caught every break in the world. And they start off the season with a rather tough schedule. Chargers, Eagles, I mean, you're at the Giants, then the Ravens, at the Jaguars, and then the Lions. I think they're not going to do as well in those one-score games this year. And I think the second half of the year is where you see Mahomes come on. And I was looking at that as a point to, buy on Mahomes MVP, buy on the Chiefs to win the division, buy on the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. If they could just slip up a little bit early, and then you can find them in a spot to buy on. So I agree with you guys, but I just wanted to kind of just wait this out the same way I was going to wait out Titans over unders.
So I get that,
Mhm.
but they're also more than capable of being the team to pull
Yeah.
rabbits out of the hat because the Chiefs always seem to pull rabbits out of the hat. House, why Jordan Love? What's the case for him in MVP?
Dream made it. I think Green Bay very quietly had a great offseason. And the thing that really held them back last season was two aspects on offense. It was indeed the fact that the Jordan Love was injured the entire season. He went down to Brazil and got hurt on that bum ass field. I really hope that they got some of that figured out. If we're going to keep sending teams on these international expeditions, you got to have the playing surface, proper for the men. And then that receiver room underperformed all season long. I think they were in the top 5 of drops in terms of balls that should have been completed, and they just really couldn't get it figured out. I think Matthew Golden's going to be a revelation. I think that this Packers offense is built for vertical, and Jordan Love certainly has it. We saw it 2 seasons ago. I think we're going to go back to 2023 and then see a 10% to 15% improvement there. And I think Green Bay is poised to win the NFC North. And so when you have to have double-digit wins. So Green Bay wins the division. Green Bay wins 12 or 13 games because very quietly their defense is improved. It's greatly improved. Jeff Hafley was very good in terms of scheme. He really got them headed in the right direction. I think Green Bay is under the radar, and Love with an improved receiver room to Dream's point is a nice play at 20-1.
Listen, I'm in on the Packers. I have them to win the division. I have them over for the season. So if Jordan Love is going to go and be in the MVP race, fine by me. One that I throw in is a long shot, and it's a long shot. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be really, really difficult for this guy to win the award. That said, if I'm as bullish on Tampa as I'm telling everybody, and I think they can win 12, 13 games. I think they have a schedule that's set up for success. I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the NFC. Raheem, at 33 to 1, I'm going to take a shot and take Baker Mayfield for MVP. I understand how uphill a battle this is because he doesn't run around a whole lot, and these other guys might, in theory, put up the more eye-popping numbers. But can I get a year with the Bucks or the 1 and a 2 seed, and he's just amazing? Like 33 to 1, I feel like that's a ticket I want to have, Dream.
I'm not mad at this one at all because when you look at the state of the NFC, me personally, I'm betting the under on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm betting the under on the Detroit Lions. I'm betting the under on the Minnesota Vikings. Pretty much the best three teams in the NFC last year, I'm going under on them. And I think there's a lot of uncertainty in the NFC. And the one thing we've seen is that in order to win MVP, you got to win 12, 13 games, be the number one seed in your conference. Well, right now, I don't know who's going to be the number one seed in the conference, but I do know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play in the worst division in the NFC. So that makes them live. So I kind of like this play. I like this as a long shot lottery play. I think, it's down to 25 to 1 at FanDuel right now. So you're on to something.
I appreciate the hospitality. All right, boys, let's transition to Offensive Player of the Year. This is where the non-quarterback gets to win the award house. So this is where we get to identify, hey, who is going to have the most eye-popping statistical numbers and who could be that guy to go and win the award. You kind of gave us a little sneak peek on who you're thinking, but make the case for the other Baltimore Raven.
Yeah, I tip my hand. It's Derrick Henry for me at 15 to 1 on the FanDuel Sportsbook, and it is a two-part analysis. The first part of the analysis is what I observed in connection with my forecast for this Ravens team, this Ravens offense especially. One of the things, if you look at the defenses that the Ravens played last year versus the defenses that the Ravens are going to play this year, those defenses are bad against the pass. So I think that that Lamar Jackson is going to come out and the Ravens are going to get up by margin and then just run the ball. And if you look at Derrick Henry last season, 325 carries, over 1,900 yards, 16 touchdowns. That's a offensive player of the year stat line if I've ever seen one. The only reason he lost is because Saquon Barkley and the Philadelphia Eagles just had to put their mark down. And I am so impressed with what the Eagles did. But I expect regression from the Eagles. I expect regression from Saquon. But I see Derrick Henry and the Ravens poised to repeat what Derrick Henry did last season. So all he has to do is be in the same neighborhood as last year, and 15 to 1 is a good price for me at that Offensive Player of the Year position.
Dream, who are we thinking?
Oh, but before we go to my pick, I want to shout out one of the this guy Gerardo Ramirez. He actually just shouted this out. I mean, he's watching our feed right now. He's in the YouTube stream. He's texting. He suggested Bijan Robinson 15 to 1. I thought that was really, really interesting. What do you guys think of that? I mean, this is probably one of the top backs in fantasy. Last year, what did he have? You're talking about a guy who had 1,456 yards, 14 touchdowns, and he also caught the ball for 431. So what do you guys think of him? House, I definitely want to hear your opinion because you're big on the Atlanta Falcons this year.
Yeah, and I have Bijan in the Yahoo Fantasy League, the Ringer Yahoo Fantasy League. I lost some of my enthusiasm for that Atlanta offense with the injuries that occurred. Now, I think Bijan at that price is very fair, but because I have a little bit diminished enthusiasm across the board for Atlanta, I'm not as bullish on buying into. I mean, Drake London is everybody's darling, both fantasy wise and in some of these awards markets. And I understand it, but I want to see it a little bit with Atlanta first. I just got a little bit of my enthusiasm taken away, JJ.
Yeah, I get it. I like a running back a little bit more than Bijan. I get the value at 15 to 1. Give me Jahmyr Gibbs at 13-1.
Mm.
I think Jahmyr Gibbs can take another step forward in this offense. And I think you're going to see more Gibbs, less Montgomery. You started to see that shift
Mhm.
as the season went along. Uh, the guy is just oozing potential. He's got a great line. He's in a great offense. I know Ben Johnson is gone, but I just think this is the sort of year that's set up for Gibbs to go and put up crazy, crazy numbers. And guys, how about this for a super long shot? Malik Neighbors at 33-1. Malik Neighbors is going to be involved in everything for the New York Giants. I get it. You look at the Giant offense, you're like, how is someone on the Giant offense going to win Offensive Player of the Year? Well, if he works his way into the Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson category, then maybe it's a conversation. It's a long shot. But I didn't want to come out and give you chalk. I mean, it's no fun just saying Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson going to go and win these awards. We want to get a little frisky on these, Raheem. That's why I gave you Neighbors at a crazy, crazy price. You like a different receiver, though.
So before we get to the receivers, I have I understand your thought process for Jahmyr Gibbs. And I think it's going to be very similar to Chris Johnson's second year in the league because, in year one, Chris Johnson, he had that thunder and lightning combination with Lindell White.
Lindell White. Wow. If you had Lindell White on your bingo card mentioned today, you're a winner. How about that?
In year two, you saw Chris Johnson get the bulk of those carries. But the problem I'm having here is that I don't know if the Detroit offensive line is going to be the same because Frank Ragnow retired. They lose Kevin Zeitler. So they've taken hits to their offensive line. And I'm not sure the Detroit Lions will be playing from in front the same way they did last year. So I think that kind of hurts his value a little bit. And I can say the same thing about Bijan Robinson when it comes to losing Drew Dalman. Like he was one of their best run blockers. So I'm a little scared of those two. But to my pick, I'm running with CD Lamb. And a lot of people will see George Pickens on the other side of the field and say maybe that hurts him. But I actually think that helps him. I think that opens things up for him. And we know the targets are going to be there. If you look at CD Lamb throughout the course of his career, 111 targets in year one, 120 targets in year two, 156 targets in year three, 181 the year before, 152 last year, and Dak got hurt. And I look at this Cowboys team. I don't see a great defense. Who knows if Micah's going to be on the field? And I don't see a running game. So they're going to be passing the ball. So at 20-1, I got to take a shot on my homeboy, number 88, CD Lamb.
Listen, puts up big numbers. That's what you're looking for with this award. Who's the guy that's going to go and put up big numbers? Okay, you guys are both the line for Defensive Player of the Year. House, I'll let you go first. You and Raheem have the exact same guy listed here. Who is it?
That surprises absolutely nobody. And the funniest thing, as Dream was making the case for CD Lamb, I can't tell you how close I am to picking CD Lamb for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, an Offensive Player of the Year on the exact same basis that he just laid out. Me and Dream, something's going on.
Yeah, because there was too much dissension between you two earlier in the show. So now that we have some agreement, it feels like the world has been restored. I understand, House.
Yeah, I like Will Anderson Jr. He's sitting there for Defensive Player of the Year at 16-1. There are two elements to this that I like. In the first place, he's a sack machine. He had 11 sacks in 14 games. He has 18 sacks through 29 games. And I like the idea of Danielle Hunter on the other side because that creates for the offense, they have to pick their poison, and that the pressure rate that he generates, he's a top 10 efficient guy generating pressure. And this is as much as anything a fact that I think that Houston, if they get to 10, 11, 12 wins and win the division the way that I'm imagining, then the defense is the key to that. And we're going to be hearing about the dominant play of Will Anderson Jr. at 16-1 as one of the prime reasons for it.
Yeah, House laid out the case. I mean, I've said before, I'm all in on this Houston defense, and I think they play in a weak division, and I think they play with some quarterbacks that they can, they can hit Daniel Jones, they can hit Anthony Richardson, they can hit Trevor Lawrence. So I feel very comfortable with taking a shot on Will Anderson at 16-1, and I think he should probably be in the 10-1 range. So I think there's some value there.
Guys, I'm giving you two defensive studs. It's TJ Watt leading that Steeler defense fresh off his new contract at plus 850. But we talked about the resurgent Niner defense, perhaps with Robert Saleh being at the helm. Well, that means a monster year for Nick Bosa. So I'm keeping an eye on those two. Watt at plus 850, Bosa at 13 to 1. Those are the two that I like for defensive player of the year. Now, House, offensive rookie of the year. Do you get the sense with this award, quarterback, or do you look at this award and say there's opportunity at running back, there's opportunity at receiver? Do you have the same feeling on offensive rookie of the year that you do quarterback? Or that you do MVP, excuse me.
Yeah. I mean, they're similar because in this modern era of the NFL, the quarterback touches the ball more than anybody else. So if you see an offense that previously was moribund brought to life by way of the quarterback play, it's tough to argue against it. My only disinclination to bet Cam Ward was the price. I mean, at plus 350, I just don't feel like it's enough value for the uphill climb that Tennessee has in front of it. Even though I like Cam Ward and even though I like the offensive line in Tennessee, I want to see it a little bit. JJ, when I was going through the homework, I wanted to make sure I had some Omari and Hampton. I look up and there you are on our guy Omari.
That was a JJ House of line pick. Excellent.
It really was, yeah. And at 9 to 1 is the real attraction to me with Hampton. We know what the Chargers are going to do. They are going to run the ball, and then run the ball some more. Najee Harris is still question mark about the fireworks accident and what kind of effectiveness he's going to have. This kid's going to touch the ball. He's dynamic. I think that he is going to be a revelation the same way that Bucky Irving over the last half of last season was a revelation at running back. Love that price, 9 to 1 for Omari and Hampton.
Oh, me too, Raheem.
Yeah.
I'm all over it because the Chargers want to be a running football team. And I know they lose Slater on the offensive line, but what's a way you can kind of combat that and protect the fact that your left tackle's done for the year? It's okay. Let's establish the run. And I don't look at Najee Harris as a guy who's going to be that much of a threat. Kind of think his best days are behind him. Hampton fits exactly the sort of running style that Jim Harbaugh wants in his backs. I think he's going to have a monster season. So at 9 to 1, that's a price I'm willing to take. That was the first name that popped off the page at me because if the Titans end up having a crummy year and Cam Ward kind of comes on too late, and the other quarterbacks, it's like, all right, you don't see Dart until later in the year. There's nobody that really stands out. I think that's one that makes a lot of sense. Hampton at 9 to 1. Anybody else?
Well, you got to remember, we gave this out at like 15 to 1.
That's true.
That's true. AFC West preview. And when you look at the history of this award, last 25 years, you're talking 11 quarterbacks, 9 running backs.
So there's balance there. I'm glad you brought that up. There's a lot of balance
wide
there.
Receivers. So the biggest thing for me is that I want to take a quarterback or a running back. And if you look at the two favorites, Ashton Jenney is at plus 250. Cam Ward is at plus 300. So you're not getting tremendous value on those guys. Like I think Cam Ward, maybe there's still value there just because he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. But I look at Omari and Hampton at 9 to 1, and it feels like you're in a spot to where you can get some value on your play. Now, there's another guy, and this is House's guy, and this is a super duper sleeper. I mean, this is a guy who has showed up all preseason, has a lot of fantasy players excited. Ja'Cory Broski-Moret. You're talking 25 to 1. I don't know what his role is going to be in Washington, but they did trade Brian Robinson, which probably means he's going to get a ton of carries. Now, I don't know how they're going to implement him and Debo, but at 25 to 1, I don't mind playing the lottery here.
Yeah, see, I knew Dream. This is part of why we're on the same page. I come back on the show after everybody says all those bad things about Washington this upcoming season, and boom, he puts my guy Bill front and center. Bill Crosby Merritt, and I agree with this assessment. This kid just went out and stole the lead running back job right out from Brian Robinson Jr. And the thing that is so impressive that we're gonna see is the yards after contact. The dude does not go down on a first touch. He hits the hole hard. He takes that first bit of contact, and then he gains yards. And that's why this bet is really nice job by Dream.
Now, Out of the two receivers, House, Ibuka and Golden, if you had to pick one, which one do you like a little more?
Man, like them both.
I know, but if you had to pick one,
I'll pick Golden because of the price and because of what I think the upside is for Green Bay. I think Green Bay will end up better than Tampa this season, not by a ton, but at 22-1, Matthew Golden, and we'll see Jordan Love vertical again with the deep ball and Matthew Golden on the receiving end of it. So that's I'll cite that as my preference.
boys, defensive rookie of the year, I'm going as chalky as it gets. I saw this guy at the joint practices. He is a physical freak. To me, he was the best player in the draft. Abdul Carter is going to feast for the New York Giants. He's going to be all over the field. He's going to be in the middle of everything. I think there's a reason why he's priced as low as he is. Abdul Carter, monster rookie year upcoming. I'll take him plus 250. Done, done, and done.
It's so crazy because that's just got bet down to plus 185.
Woo! I'm telling you, he's the guys. He's the real deal.
He's the real deal.
You can play him everywhere. He was a stud in college. This guy is going to come in and have instant impact. I think you're searching if you're trying to make a case for somebody else, but I'll allow you guys to do so. So who are you making a case for, Raheem?
I got to go with Michael Williams. I mean, it's just the price. 11-1. He was the second edge rusher drafted in this draft. And I mean, he's coming into a 49ers lineup that has, Nick Bosa on the other side. And you got Robert Saleh, who can get the best out of defenders. So I'm laying the price here. I think, if he can just pick up a ton of sacks and with that 49ers lineup, I think he's in a good position to, at least put you in some hedge positions with Abdul Carter or maybe somebody else.
A lot of Bobby Saleh love, House. A lot of Bobby Saleh love.
I think it's well placed. And there's also, House and Dream making sweet love on this gambling podcast on this Thursday.
Oh, you two get a room. Enough.
We do these picks independently, but we always end up, somehow or another about 75-80% of the time on the same guys. Dream just made the case for Williams. For me, it's just a price thing, JJ. I don't want to tie up money on an award bet at plus 185. I'd rather do a smaller increment on a guy like Michael Williams. And what I like about it is the edge component. Edge guys tend to win. They get the opportunity to show themselves. And so that's all. It's the 11-1 price and the fact that the plus 185 doesn't move the needle for me with Carter, even though I completely agree with you. That dude is the realest dealist.
Okay. We have a variety of different picks for Coach of the Year. Guys, I'm starting first on this one. I like both of these a lot. I'm starting with the guy who I think is going to lead a team to the playoffs. I'm starting with a guy that I think is going to turn around a franchise in year one. And you guys know, I still hold some Trevor Lawrence stock. I'm one of the few. I know everybody unloaded. I know it was a mass exodus from the Trevor Lawrence Island. I still am holding on to a couple of glimmers of stock, and I think Liam Cohen is going to get the most out of him in this particular season. Again, I went chalky with Buffalo, Baltimore, and Kansas City, all to win their divisions in the AFC. I got to find one where at least I get a little frisky. That's where I went with Jacksonville. And remember, their number for the division was at 3-1. It has come down a little bit here over the last few weeks. And to me, if they're a team that's in the playoffs, and they're a team that, dare I say, wins a division, there's going to be a lot of love for quirky, very eccentric, I like the eccentric guys, Liam Cohen. So I saw that number at 12-1. I pounced there. The other one I like, and House and Raheem, you guys are going to like this because you have Jordan Love MVP tickets. If Matt LaFleur and the Green Bay Packers win the division in this loaded NFC North, where you have Detroit, where you have Minnesota, where you have Chicago, and they win 12 or 13 games, and maybe they're the 1 and 2 seed in the NFC, I think all of a sudden people are like, wow, Matt LaFleur, what a coach. What a job he's done. I saw that number north of 20-1. So my two Coach of the Year choices, Cohen in Jacksonville, LaFleur in Green Bay. House, who do we like?
I'm looking at Dave Canales at Carolina, and a little bit of this is a game theory kind of strategy. The price is motivation for me. He's at 16-1 earlier. I think he's down to 14-1. But really, this is the NFC South trying to take advantage of a team that was the darling last year, and then let everybody down in terms of a lot of smart bettors try to get in and look for improvement at the quarterback position. It didn't come. We didn't see it until the last handful of games. Well, I think that the thing that's going to create the pathway for this Carolina team to improve the sufficient number of wins that you have to improve, over the years, you have to have a win improvement of 4 or 5 games from the previous season. The average preseason win total of the last 24 winners. This is our guy TA, 7.7 wins. And you don't tend to get winners out of this Coach of the Year award out of teams that have win totals that are high, which is why I was scared off of LaFleur, even though I agree with you. I wanted a coach with a team that has the potential to surprise, and Carolina fits that bill. I like the offense, and I think that offensive development is sustainable. And the defense is a complete wild card, so that's why at 14-1, it was worth it to me to get in on the Canales with a little bit.
I can understand that, Raheem, because listen, turnaround is normally what
Mm.
this award is driven by. And usually the coaches that take the worst to first, the team that comes out of nowhere goes to the playoffs, they go and win the award. The KOCs of last season. Who do you like, Raheem, for this award?
Well, I'm choosing two guys from two teams that I'm looking to buy on who I think they can improve. I'm taking Jonathan Gannon at 14-1, and I'm taking Ben Johnson at 7-1. Obviously, you guys know I'm high on both the Cardinals and the Bears. Their win totals are 8.5 respectively. And I think both of those teams can overperform the market. And I think if they do that, that makes them live. I'm looking at the Cardinals. I think they have a real chance of winning the division. I think the Bears actually have a chance of winning the division and really surprising folks. And I think if either one does that, I think both of them, it puts both of those coaches in contention for Coach of the Year. So that's where I'm taking my shots.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Of course, Raheem brings it back full circle with the Arizona Cardinals. And listen, when you're invested, it's
Yeah.
more fun to have the variety of investments where it's
Mm.
like you're all in on a certain team. It's kind of like where I'm at with Tampa, where it's like, all right, I'm taking them over for wins. I'm taking them to win the division. I'm going to get a little frisky with Baker Mayfield winning MVP
Mm.
because it's like the correlation. And if it
Yeah,
blows up in your face, it
it's
blows
going to
up in
go
your
either
face.
really, really good or really bad. I mean, I'm looking at like I'm in on the Bears at 8.5. I'm in on Ben Johnson, but I'm also out on the Lions. I'm taking them under 10.5 wins, and I'm taking the Vikings under 9.5 wins. So this could really blow up in my face, but I'm willing to do it.
Hey, listen, sometimes you got to get frisky with this stuff. Now, speaking of getting frisky, Raheem, I didn't see this. Now, we don't exchange what our picks are before the show. That's not how we roll around here. Like we do as we do. We've had a operation, a system in place the last few years. Ain't broke, don't fix it. You added a little tab. I didn't see it. I have to be honest. So I don't have a pick here,
Mhm.
but you do. And this is important because you're going to make the case for certain someone to win comeback player of the year. And Raheem, if indeed this happens, let's just say your boy is going to be a very happy camper.
So, comeback player of the year this year is very interesting because there are a lot of guys who could win this award more than usual, and they changed the criteria of the award after Joe Flacco won it. They said you have to really be coming back from injury or just a special circumstance. And we know Aiden Hutchinson got hurt. We know Dak Prescott got hurt. Christian McCaffrey, Trevor Lawrence, JJ McCarthy, Nick Chubb, Max Crosby, Daniel Jones. A lot of these guys got hurt. And for me, I would love to take Dak Prescott. But at 3-1, I'm
No
not seeing
value.
a ton of value. I
No
would love
value.
to take Trevor Lawrence. Well, the value here is on Tua at 25-1.
Wow.
You guys know I was on the under Miami Dolphins under 8.5 wins. I said this back in March. It's now down to 7.5. But this is the perfect hedge opportunity because the one thing that the Miami Dolphins do when Tua is in the lineup, they actually win.
No
So
question. Not even close.
if he stays in the lineup, that 25-1 is a horrible price. Like this should be, like 7-1 or around the range of Trevor Lawrence because this team, if he stays healthy, there's no way this line should be 25-1. And I think if he stays healthy, the Dolphins can exceed expectations. So I
I
have to
love
take a
it.
shot on this.
I love it, Raheem. And to me, House, that's why we talked about Miami. as the perfect team to get involved with as far as the alt markets are concerned because of the win-loss record with Tua. So if miraculously, and it is a miracle, by the way, if the Dolphins get 16 to 17 games out of Tua Tagovailoa, then yeah, you can see them going to win 9 to 10 games. Yeah, you could see Tua being comeback player of the year. If he doesn't play, they might be one of the worst teams in the NFL, and all of a sudden that under 6.5, that under 5.5, that under 4.5 looks that much juicy. I don't hate that play. And I'm not going to make it house because, my emotions are already invested in the idea of Tua getting comeback player of the year. So I don't need to put my wallet in mixed business with pleasure. But I think that's good logic there on getting 20 something to 1 on Mr. Tua T.
I think it's wonderful, and it's a very nice compliment in the right increment, right? We're not talking about full unit bet. At least I'm not, because this group, this East Coast bias crew, came up with a nice bet for the AFC East. We played an exacta of Buffalo winning the division, but Miami surprisingly finishing second with the Patriots third and the Jets fourth, and that paid it better than 4-1 odds. Well, part of the way to get a little bit of additional upside on Miami is this 25-1 price on Tua. I really like it.
You have any comeback player of the year bets, House, or is this a Raheem special?
And this is just Raheem.
There you go.
There's
I
too
didn't
many
add anything
guys,
either.
with all of the injuries from last season. I like Aiden Hutchinson because I like the story quite a bit, and I do think that Detroit defense is going to be good. The regression I expect to see out of Detroit is on the offensive side of the ball. But I like the idea of Hutchinson. I just want to root for him because that was a cruel injury he had last year.
Now, a reminder, we are going to be live Monday to Friday, starting Labor Day Monday, on the Ringer Gambling YouTube feed. 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific, every single day throughout the football season. I'm going to be rocking with these guys on Monday. Raheem and I are going to be back together on Thursday. So you want to make sure, hey, watch the YouTube stream. You can still download as a pod. You got multiple options to consume the show. I mean, it's fun hanging with us, and we'll have a little fun. Raheem, you're gonna have to do that more with the stream. I'm too distracted. I have 10 zillion things going on, and I'm worried about a baby maybe appearing from the distant heavens.
Mhm.
So if there are comments on the live stream, you definitely can weigh in on that
Yeah,
and be a part of the
I'm
show.
definitely watching them all the time. I mean, shouts to everybody on the stream. You're running point, so I can play the assistant coach here.
But that's fine. Get my
pull
boys
out
here.
the iPad and check out everything. Shouts out to some of our guys commenting. Grant Tolley, Gerardo Ramirez. Shouts to you guys for coming out.
We love that. We love the participation in the live streams. But again, of course, you can find us on the Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Ringer Gambling Show, of course. Going to take a quick break for the podcast, but don't go anywhere. It's the real opening weekend of college football. We are not college football experts, but guess what? I have a couple of picks to send you on your way. So do the boys. All right, guys. We are not going to do a ton of college football. We'll mix it in from time to time. We get closer to the playoff. We're mostly a NFL football show. We'll have the Ringer Tailgate. That's going to do a lot more college football. Sal and Tate are going to do a lot more college football. But I will be into it this weekend, House. There are 2 games I know I'm absolutely betting. This is where I'm going. I want you guys to know this. I'm taking Clemson laying 3.5 against LSU. LSU has lost their last 5 season openers. They've lost 4 of those as outright favorites. They haven't covered in any of those particular games. And I like what I saw from Clemson down the stretch last year. I like the fact that they're at home. First time they're matching up since that national championship game of Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. So I am taking Clemson at Death Valley, laying the 3.5 at night. The other one I like, House, and it's always scary going with a road team against the reigning national champ, but I'm getting in on the Arch Manning swag. This line has moved from 3 to 1.5. I am taking the Longhorns to go into Columbus and win that game outright against Ohio State.
That is actually my pick too. That's the only pick I have. Okay. So I want the money line because
me too. Why do you need the 1.5? What's the point?
Texas was plus 125. It's now down to plus 100 on FanDuel Sportsbook. And I think Archie Manning, he's in a good position to succeed here. You're facing a defense without their previous defensive coordinator in Jim Knowles. And then the defensive line is not the same for Ohio State. So I think Archie Manning is going to have a big day. We know he is the preseason Heisman favorite. So I'm playing Texas here. I think they win this, and I think it puts them in a spot. Like, here's my biggest thing. they're number one in the country for a reason. I'm gonna take a shot on that.
Now,
Yeah,
House, you wanted
I
to look
like
at the
these.
futures market, right? That's what you were
Yeah.
thinking?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, part of my interest in college football, I absolutely loved the playoffs last year. I thought that was an
They were
amazing
so much
innovation.
fun, dude.
It
So
really
much fun.
delivered. And they're going to tweak it so that we don't get any of the nonsense last year where teams getting buys and teams having to go on the road. I think that they fixed some of that stuff. I'm just going to the Big 10 and grabbing two of the big granddaddies and saying yes, both of these teams are going to make the playoff, and that's Penn State and Ohio State, going right back to the well, parlaying that, because what I want is basically even odds bet to just sit and have in place over the course of the season. But both teams poised. Penn State, bringing back their quarterback. I love the continuity with them. They Penn State, not a great track record under James Franklin against other ranked teams, but they have a schedule that lines up very nice. I like Penn State. If you want to have them win the Big Ten, I don't hate that. It's like plus 230 or something on the FanDuel Sportsbook, maybe plus 250. And then Ohio State, they're there every year. I'm just asking for both teams to make the playoff, and that combination pays off at minus 116. That's one that I put in the portfolio for sure.
And guys, just for what it's worth, look at the odds to win the college football championship. Texas is at plus 550. Georgia's at plus 650. Ohio State 7-1. Penn State plus 750. Bama plus 950. Clemson 12-1. LSU 13-1. Notre Dame, Oregon all at 14-1. What does that tell you, Raheem? The books have no idea who they like at this particular point in time if they're giving out plus 550 and 14-1s between 7 teams.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the NIL era has like truly changed everything, and it might have spread the talent around since guys can get paid everywhere. Even Oregon is like 14-1.
Yes, they are. Yes,
And
they are.
I'm seeing a lot of sharps playing their under. I think it was like 11 and a half. So look towards that.
I'm grabbing right now Notre Dame at 14-1 to win the title because I definitely think they're going to be in a playoff, and I think it's a juicy, juicy number. I'm also tailing your house on Penn State to win the Big Ten. I just think you're going to get a little bit of regression from Ohio State as far as winning the conference. Last year, I know their regular season didn't go great, but it's like they flipped the switch in the Big Ten, and they were by far and away the best team. It wasn't even close. The only thing with Penn State, man, they never win big games. So beware on that. Like
That's
Big
right.
Ten title game, they'll be there. Playoff, they'll be there. Like they could have all the continuity, they could have all the talent in the world, and it's like us betting on James Franklin in big games. We're gonna get what we deserve.
Oh man.
It's
He
not
shares,
fun.
there's a reason he shares a name with James Harden.
Oh,
Talk about a parting shot. You're getting one right before
Oh
we
my
say
God.
goodbye. So House, you got to tell us, by the way, on Texas and Clemson. You must.
Oh, I just wrote it down. I'm gonna sit down with FanDuel Sportsbook as soon as we're done here live and get these fired in.
Boys, ton of fun. I will see you both on Labor Day Monday when we really start the proceedings for real. And we'll start giving you guys an inside look about what we're thinking regarding the week 1 slate. We also are going to unveil the official, and I know everybody does this now, where it's like prediction, 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 but we have not given out our Super Bowl winners, our conference winners, our playoff teams. So I want to do that on our show on Monday. So I gave you guys a little homework assignment. Playoff teams, conference winner, Super Bowl winner, and an early look on some of the week 1 lines that we might like. For Joe House, Raheem Palmer, John Jastremski signing off. Good job by Stefan and the crew, making us look beautiful on the YouTube live stream. And we'll see you guys Labor Day Monday. Enjoy the college football this weekend. Be good, everybody.